They say you should never judge a book by its cover. And sometimes that's true, sometimes it's not. But once you get into a book, there may be a takeaway that is life changing. And I've got one of those for you in this episode of the VO Heroes podcast. In the early 80s, I was a radio DJ. I was a producer at the American Comedy Network. It was the heyday of my radio career. And I remember hearing about this guy in New York. I was in Connecticut. I used to go down to the city every weekend to go to the clubs. And there was this guy in New York named Rick Rubin. And Rick Rubin was this, pudgy guy that went to NYU, fellow Jew, who somehow had figured out how to wangle his way into the world, the just beginning world of hip hop. It was called rap then. I mean, Sugar Hill Gang and Beastie Boys and whatever. But he hooked up with Russell Simmons and created Def Jam Records, Def Jam Productions. What? Really? A student from NYU? And he was running it out of his dorm. Well, fast forward many decades, and Rick Rubin is a legend in the world of music production, not just in the world of hip-hop, but in almost every other category of work. And he has become, there he is, he has become quite the stunning looker. I mean, he's just got a look about him that basically says, I know what I'm talking about, and I'm willing to look however I feel like looking. He has a new book out called The Creative Act, A Way of Being. I listened to it. It's short. It's about 5 hours. Reading it would have been just as enjoyable for me. Rick is not a voice talent, but you get used to his kind of sing-songy delivery when you're listening to the book. In there are hundreds of little tiny statements, aphorisms, sayings, platitudes that all have meaning for us as performers, because what he's talking about is something we go through every day. We sometimes think about our lives as voice talent and actors as executing technical skills on behalf of a writer or on behalf of a copywriter or an animator or a director. The truth of the matter is that we're executing a creative approach to material, to executing material. And in this book, he talks about being brave enough and being resourceful enough and giving yourself the permission to be a true artist, a true creative. And one of the big things that he said in the book that was a big takeaway for me, and something that reinforced a feeling that I've had for a long, long time, is this notion of don't worry about what the audience thinks. The audience comes last. And it's a different way of saying what I've said the whole time I was on radio when people would say, oh, you know what you should do with your talk show? You should do this. Or you know what kind of music you should play on your morning show? You should play this. Or you should, you'll get more listeners if you do this. Or I don't like what you said there because, I don't agree with you and I think you should change that and you should do this. I always used to say to people, listen, it doesn't matter what you think. It really doesn't. No offense. But I do the show for me because I'm the only one that I'm damn sure I can make happy. No matter what I do on the air, I'm going to make some people happy, satisfy some people, and I'm going to make other people upset or indifferent or some other feeling. I don't have any way of gathering the entire audience together and having them be in agreement about the creative choices that I've made. And for those of you that don't get it, for those of you that perhaps say to yourself, well, why doesn't Fox, why doesn't MSNBC, why doesn't, channels that have clear political divisions, why don't they be more fair? Why don't they show both sides to the story and give them equal time? Well, because that's not the way they make money. That's not the way it works. They don't care about whether or not part of their audience understands or approves of or agrees with them. In fact, they hope that they don't, right? So both of those things kind of tie together when you think about the fact that you really need to understand that doing what you do the way you do it, that makes you happy with your creative output, is the only litmus test that matters. It also ties into the whole notion of you can't know what a casting director wants or what a director wants. A director will tell you, but a casting director isn't going to give you the map ahead of time and say, do it like this. They may give you things about what they're looking for in terms of the type of character or the fact that it's a comedy. They'll give you stuff to read, but in general, it's a good idea to simply sit down and have a talk with yourself and say, you're who counts, meaning I'm who counts. I'm the one creating this. I'm the one that needs to be at peace with what I'm doing. I am the only arbiter of what I like and what I want to put out in the world. I'm not trying to solve an issue for the audience. I'm not trying to make sure I gather the biggest audience in the world, because it's next to impossible. The joy is when what you do is so authentic and so creative and so potent that an audience is just simply drawn to you. And your audience may be the casting community, maybe the production community, maybe the public, maybe consumers. But do this work for you. The audience comes last. They don't know what they want. They only know what they've already seen. And surprising them with something new and different is always a joy. And then you become the thing that they've already seen and that somebody else is going to surprise them with. It's a hard thing to have confidence about, because you think to yourself, who am I? I'm just this woman or this guy in a closet somewhere or under the stairs somewhere working with my little microphone and doing what I do. Have that joy. Have that faith. Tell me what you think. Give me a comment. Is this something that you think would be helpful to you? Is this something that you think would make a difference in your creative career, in your work as a voice talent or as an on-camera personality? I'd love to hear. Go to VOHeroes.com. Leave me a comment below this video. If you're already here, welcome. Thank you for doing that. You can hit the like button if you really like what you're hearing. You can subscribe to the channel, and you can hit the notification bell, and you'll be told when new episodes come out. And if you want to share this with another actor who you just know is awesome, but they don't know how awesome they are, and they're constantly second-guessing themselves and going, well, how do I do this? What do I do? How do I please the biggest part of the audience? Forward this on to them. Go up to the address bar, grab it, and forward this on to them. I'd really appreciate that. I'm David H. Lawrence the 17th. I thank you so much for watching and for listening. And I will see you in the next episode of the VO Heroes podcast.